Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 5. And today we are doing a top 5 on the top 5 water types in Loomian Legacy. So yeah, if there are water types that are really good to use in PvP, they will be on this list. And there are a couple of familiar faces, while some of them I have not talked about yet. So yeah, let's get right onto this list. But before we do that, let's talk about the Rainbow Shawchi Giveaway. So, I found this in the wild, I think I found it like a few minutes ago. Not a few minutes, more like, more like hours ago. But it's a Rainbow Shawchi, it's nimble, and I want to give one away. So, if you type Rainbow Shawchi in the comments below, you have a shot at winning a Rainbow Shawchi. So, it's going to be the same giveaways like we did for the other 3. And I'm going to give y'all a random number and then spin the wheel. If your number is picked, you win the giveaway. So yeah, let's get right onto this top 5. So, on number 5 onto the list, it's actually going to be a melee tank because it's going to be Ventation. And the reason why Ventation is number 5, this is its one flaw. Tundralin kind of does it better, but Ventation actually has better melee defense. I mean, 142 melee defense is best in the game. There's no Loomian with higher melee defense and Ventation, and Sharp Edges absolutely carries the match. I mean, Sharp Edges with Ventation is so good. It chips any melee attacker. So if there's a melee attacker and you go into Ventation, that melee attacker gets chipped, and that's what makes Ventation really good. Even though Tundralin is better to tank hits and heal the health, Ventation's just very good at chipping Loomian. So it technically doesn't get replaced by Tundralin. Like Tundralin, I would recommend Tundralin over Ventation, but Ventation can be used in certain situations over Tundralin pretty well. Plus, Battering Ram to hit stuff as Bug is awesome with water. Like Bug Water, there is nothing that can really come into that other than Deludrix, and even then, Deludrix is so frail, it doesn't really want to come into it. So, yeah, Ventation, it's awesome. Geyser can cause burns, Brace can increase Battering Ram, it can lower melee defense, and also Soft Water can heal health back. But even though it's not Rejuvenate, Soft Water is still very good. You could also put Frost Beam on it. You could run Frost Beam just to, chip Florence, chip Whipple Drifts, and just hit those bug types if you really want to. But you don't have to run that. I recommend running Soft Water because keeping Ventation's health pretty high is really, really important. And the fact that geysers can cause burns can just completely destroy melee attackers. So, Ventation is definitely one of the best water types in the game, and definitely one of the best melee tanks. So, yeah, Ventation at number 5. Let's head in right into number 4. So, number 4 onto the list, it's actually going to be Skellic. Now, Skellic being number 4 is awesome. If this was before Atlantean, I don't think Skellic would be on the list. Outburst and Drudge completely changed the game for Skellic. You could also run Phantom Slash at Brawler types if you really want to. I mean, if you don't have anything for Mutagon, you could just run that. You could also run Shadow Sprint for, Gear Souls. So, you could run those moves if you want to, but I would recommend Outburst. Outburst just hits so hard. You have to run Outburst. And then if you combine it with Drudge, it's amazing. And its water type move is solid too. Even though Aqua Jaws can have a chance to miss, it only does 65. It could lower melee defense. So that damage can really start to snowball. It's a really solid attack to lower melee defense. Especially if you predict the swap. And Skellic is just a very good Loomian in general. The fact that it can Drudge and set up Sweep is really good. The only flaw is that in the meta, there are a lot of melee tanks in the meta right now. Ventation, like I said, can beat this. Tundralin can beat this still. And also a couple other Loomians can too. But even then, Skellic is still a pretty solid Loomian. Really good for non-bulky teams. Also, Boonary kind of is a problem too. If Boonary comes in, that could be very, very rough. So yeah, that's Skellic. Skellic is definitely one of the best water types in the game, especially offensively. Look at the Timber. This Timber, I actually beat in a 1v1 after a Drudge. And even though Timber hits pretty hard back, Skellic starts to snowball damage. That minus defense really adds up. And that's what makes Skellic so good. And also the fact that it has Outburst makes it stand out compared to Garlash. So yeah, Skeleton number 4, and let's hit it right into the number 3 slot. So, number 3 onto the list is actually going to be... Hold on, it's Barblast. I kind of mistimed that a little bit, but yeah, Barblast. It makes sense why Barblast is in this list. I mean, it's one of the tankiest Loomians in the game. It was a number 1 in the best tanks in Loomian Legacy. It also has offensive pressure of high explosive. It can poison. It can place icicle traps. And if you get into a situation with Barblast v Barblast, who gets stuck into an endless fight, just like with Venolin. If you have a Venolin v Venolin, you get stuck in an endless fight. And that's the thing. Barblast is that tanky. It can tank hits from both sides. And even though it's weak to Earth, you can run a Terra Pearl and you can prevent that. Plus, like I said, it can get rid of Poison Barb since it's a poison type. It can place icicle traps. It can poison. It can Water Bomb, which is awesome. You can daze Loomians. So that's what makes Barblast good. I heard it is actually going to get a nerf, so Water Bomb will not be able to daze, which it does kind of suck a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. But Barblast, it makes sense why he's on the list. It's definitely one of the best water types in the game. And the only reason it's number 3 and not higher is honestly mainly because the other 2 Loomians are just way too good. And the other 2 Loomians, I've talked about a whole ton already. And these Loomians have been in my top 5s multiple times. So, unfortunately, this is going to be a very repetitive video talking about these guys again. But let's head into right into number 2. So, yeah, there's Mutagon. So, yeah, it's very unfortunate that I did not edit this out, but hey, it happens. Okay, now we get into number 2. So, number 2 onto the list. Number 2 is going to be Cephalops, and I don't think it really shocks anyone that Cephalops is on this list, and it's mainly because, you know, the Bloodsucker ability, Soul Drain, Icicle Traps, and also the fact that it also has 119 range attack. It hits hard, it gets health back, it's very tanky, and it's just amazing. I mean, Cephalops is banned from like every single tournament. It's really overpowered. Although I don't think it's as broken as everyone makes it out to be. That is one thing I will say. But it doesn't mean that it's OP. It is very OP. Like, and you could also run specialty boots on this. So you could actually outspeed a Zulong. Although that Zulong was not TP trained. So, you know, that definitely will not happen in a lot of scenarios. But still, Cephalops is overpowered. Soul Drain hits very hard. It can actually hit through Venolin. Like, actually 3-shots a lot of Venolin sets. So that's pretty good. And the fact that it can tank so many super effective hits just makes it really powerful. And the fact that it's a water dart type that can place icicle traps makes it really good too. It's another icicle traps user, which is awesome. It can also run Hypnotize, it can run Square One, has Frost Beam for coverage, has Tsunami, and yeah, there's a reason my Cephalops is one of the most OP Loomians in the entire game. I mean, seriously, this thing is a force of nature. The only reason why it's not number 1 is because it does not have a setup move, but even then, it's still one of the most overpowered Loomians in the game. And I'm serious that this thing can absolutely wreck everything in its path. So, that's number 2. Let's see who the best water type in Loomian Legacy is. So, number 1 onto the list of water types is, of course, Luminami. Luminami has been number 1 several times already. It's been the number 1 on the starter list, and it's number 1 here. Power Napper, Flash, and Flee. I feel like I'm repeating myself with Luminami. It's OP. It can pivot out. It's powerful. It has Frost Beam now. It has Mega Chomp for coverage at plant types. And it can set up with Peace of Mind. It has Thunder Chomp, actually, to hit Stratosaur. So you could run that if you really want to. And Luminami, it's probably the most OP Loomian in the game. I mean, Power Napper and Flash and Flee makes it the best pivot user in the game and could just set up a very good opportunity for other Loomians to come in. And you could also run an offensive one. There are so many ways you can run Luminami. I always talk about the SA one. So let's talk about an offensive one. offensive Luminami is also pretty good, because with Awakening, Light Water is very good offensively. And like I said, you could also run Frost Beam to make it very good. It now has Tsunami, so it can actually hit harder now, which is awesome. It can set up with Peace of Mind, and like I said, if you run the melee one, you can actually use Mega Chomp and Thunder Chomp as coverage moves, which is awesome. And like I said, even though it's offensive, you could still run Rejuvenate, so you are not forced to run Power Napper. Although I do recommend the secret ability. The secret ability is better than the offensive one, but it's good to have that as an option. And that's why Luminami is #1 on the list. It's OP, there's multiple ways to run it, multiple sets to run it, and yeah, it's just a force of nature. So yeah, or a force of water. So yeah, Luminami. And here it is, the best water type in all of Loomian Legacy. I'm sorry about some of the unexpected bad cuts. I should have cut a little bit more of the footage, but hey, it's a top 5. It doesn't matter that much. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this top 5. And like I said, if you put Rainbow Shawchi in the comments, you have a chance to win one. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video of the top 5 water types, and I'll see y'all all later. Bye-bye!